All right, so part three of the shoulder sequence will be the strengthening portion. So we covered the theoretical framework, the stretching portion, and now the strength training portion of this. One thing I should say before I forget is that after I put in the strengthening phase of this, I'll oftentimes like to do another round of the stretching stuff because these strengthening movements really help mobilize and warm up all the tissues around the shoulders and connecting parts. So I feel way more mobile there, and so I get a more productive stretch. And sometimes I just simply start with the strengthening portion, then go stretching. So play with that and see how that feels. But the strengthening, really consider that as simply mobility work as well, not just strengthening as you go through this. So you're going to get getting pulls and tugs on both sides of the shoulder and from multiple degrees and positions. So first on the anterior side of this, so working this direction, the anterior side of the body here, we will have your cable set up, much like that around the world stretch, and we'll be facing away to the anterior side there. We're working away from top down, and you can do anywhere from 5 to 10 reps or whatever feels good, but stick with a medium range at first on this so you can make it through the circuit and then realize how taxing this really can be. So you don't want too strong of a cable here because then you can't really get through the full range of motion. So use the appropriate amount of resistance so you can get a good range of motion. So you can then calibrate that by how far away you stand from your anchor there. Down. But I'm going to start here in this I position here. We're working away from top down in sort of a Y position all the way down there as we go. But again, 5 to 10 reps is good to start. We'll do 5 of each one in this position here. So starting up nice and tall, we're doing sort of a pullover motion here or an I. So an anterior I motion there. You're getting a bit of a stretch at the top there and contract as you come over. So you're getting a stretch phase and a contraction phase there. And it starts to feel like a really nice stretch there. You might get some popping and feel how those shoulder blades are working and adjusting and stabilizing and sitting in there as you go. So 5 there, 5 to a Y position, get a little bit of a stretch and contraction there. And then we'll take that down to a T, open those hands a bit. And you still, like with me, I still feel a little bit of a tug and stretch in that shoulder. I want to give it just a little bit, but not too much that it causes too much pain. But I want to challenge it a little bit to make it have to fight for position. And it definitely feels better as I go through this. Then, so that would be the I, Y, T, and then down to an A at this point. So a little bit of a stretch there. We have to come forward a little bit and coming up to the middle. Just stretch, then up and in, stretch, up and in. Then sort of coming from the bottom here, palms up or thumbs forward here. Going to be coming straight up there, sort of the shoulder flexion motion there. And you can come all the way up if you like. It's just a little bit awkward with that cable. But so I just come to about shoulder to eye level there because I already worked that top range of motion on the first one. And then from there, I'll go to internal rotation or resisted internal rotation there. So coming straight down, so abducted internal rotation, trying to keep those elbows up at 90 degrees, shoulder blades back and down there. You can play with the resistance you get there. So you're eccentrically loading that external rotation and then concentrically working internal rotation there. It's very productive on both sides of the fence there. That's usually sort of where I stop. There's a lot of different miscellaneous additions you can add. So you can also go arms adducted internal rotation, keeping those arms tight to the side there, working both sides there at the same time. Then other pieces you might add would be shoulder circles at the top, going in, and shoulder circles out, and then leaning over. So shoulder circles overhead in, and shoulder circles out, and then a shoulder fly working top to bottom. Feels very nice there. And so any sort of other circles you want to work in. So the general sequence I typically go with is the I, Y, T, A flexion from the bottom there, or the reverse I, and then the resisted internal rotation there. So again, that would be I's, T's, or excuse me, Y's, and then T's, then A's, and from the bottom, and then internal rotation there. That's typically what I go to, and then if I'm feeling it, I might throw in those circles overhead, bent over, and then sort of that fly motion there. So play with that and see what feels good. But that's the general circuit, 5 to 10 reps working top to bottom, and your shoulders will be burning nice, but you'll also notice some increased mobility in there. But that's only half the battle. So that's the anterior side. Now we work to the posterior side, and we're basically doing the mirror opposite motions of what we did to that side. So we're really getting a nice balance of strengthening from front and back. So we'll start with the I motion first. So you get the right amount of pull on that cable. It's much harder going to the back side here, so you could even start with this if you want to. But you're going I's first, so squeeze, then back up. Squeeze, back up, and hold for a 1 to 3 count to make sure you got a good contraction lock out there. And keep those arms long, controlling those scapula real well there. Into Y's. then into your T's, down towards your A's, and you really feel the back and lats and all the support synergistic muscles, stabilizers coming together there. And finally at the bottom, now I like to go thumbs up still in this one, and going pinky down for the extension there. And then up to external rotation there. So it resisted internal rotation eccentrically, and external rotation concentrically. Then you can throw in your circles overhead miscellaneous if you like. And then again, bent over. And then flying towards the body now. And you'd be surprised how good some of those little goofy extra ones with the circles and the flies actually do feel. So you're working the shoulder, do various ranges of motion there in a stretching sense, but also these peculiar different positions that are going to help work the shoulder stability in the sense that the scapula and rotator cuff and all those support muscles have to work to go through those range of motion. So very therapeutic there to get you in positions you may not normally go, which you'll feel a very nice sense of mobility and warmth in that shoulder at that point, and some of those pains will really start to go away. But when you combine that with the stretching portion, if I were to do that and then go right back to stretching, everything is way more productive. So you got a nice balance of stretching and strengthening. So this has really knocked out, like I said, a good chunk of my injuries and problems with my torn labrum, and really, impingement pains and things I've had as a byproduct of that. So definitely not a cure-all for everything, but definitely a great fix for a lot of postural flaws and working some of that rounded back posture and some of that stuff that's getting beat up from too many kipping pull-ups, things of that nature, dips, and really any kind of anatomical or muscular imbalance or range of motion problem you might have. So a lot of fixes there, but if you have an active injury, something like that, of course you need to get a professional assessment and plan done for that. So good luck with that. Hopefully this was helpful for you.